Right, now people can hear me on stream. New computer means the microphone isn't just there in the audio mix. I have to manually add it as a thing. Anyway, welcome everybody to episode 44 of the Popcast Movie Club as we get closer and closer to the half century. And we also get festivus and all that with... I say it's a modern surprise hit. But, yeah, it's 2014's Get Santa. I am Ashley, your selector, as well as MC for the evening. And joining me as ever is Owen.
Hi.
And AJ.
Excuse my shitty lighting. This angle was like really last minute, so
That's alright.
hopefully by tomorrow I'll get that
This jumper
worked
was
out.
last minute because I realised, oh wait, it's actually accessible. I might as well wear something Christmassy because we're talking about a Christmas film. So I still find it weird that if you take out his directing jobs that he did for a few episodes of the first season of Alex Rider, this is by far the only non-horror thing of significance that Christopher Smith has ever done. And I'm kind of wondering why, because it's actually really good.
Yeah, despite being the horror fan that I am, I'm aware of this dude and I've been aware of this dude, but this is actually the first of his movies that I've seen. The one that was the most on my radar was is it Black Death, the one with Eddie Redmayne? And I think Sean Bean.
Yep.
Black Death's
That one's
good.
been on my radar for a while, but I still haven't gotten around to it. So I almost kind of I might have been holding out until I watch this first, just for the sake of it being my introduction, so then I can go into all the horror. Because to my understanding, his horror movies are kind of hardcore. Like they're not just like they're a very far departure from this.
Yes, Creep, his debut, I thought it put him on the map, but apparently critics are sort of like middling because I think they felt it was very gore. It was sort of the Eli Roth torture route that he more popularized a few years later. But you know, there's a lot of creepy stuff in that. Severance was like a comedy horror. I guess sort of it was trying to be in the same vein as Shaun of the Dead-esque, but it was more horror comedy rather than comedy horror, I would argue. At least with some of the stuff. Triangle was not bad. Black Death is really good, but then again, maybe that's because he didn't write it. And I don't know about the other ones, Detour, The Banishing, or I didn't even know he had a film that came out this year called Consecration. But yeah, this is sort of the big weird mark in which, you know, you look at the others and they're all 18s and 15s, and that Get Santa is, I think, just about a PG. I can't remember. So it does stand out. At certain points in this film, I was like, is this where he's going to do something like Doctor Who-esque, where it's going to be something horrific, but then it's actually going to be fine? And weirdly, it was the bit in the snow in Elf City when all the elves are sort of like... that was the bit where I was like, something creepy is going to happen here. Because I couldn't remember from when I saw it originally, like 9 years ago.
Yeah, I don't want this to sound like it's a criticism or anything, or it's like a backhanded compliment or something. But given that whole thing of what his background is with horror and then what this is and how different it is, I was expecting something a little more. I don't know if edgy is the right word, or I don't know if edgy is the word I'm looking for, or mature is the word I'm looking for, because you could say this is a pretty kid friendly movie. Like, it's
Yeah.
not even a case of, oh, it happens to be a Christmas movie, but it's also like adult in itself. Like, it's actually there's a lot, there's quite a few jokes in here that makes it feel like an American Christmas comedy, which was really surprising.
I
And
mean,
do I mean lowbrow by that? Probably.
maybe, but then you stick in a Shawshank Redemption reference. You stick in a
Yeah, and,
Shaw.
and like I was saying, I don't want that to sound like it's an inherently bad thing. It just surprised me. It wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah. Um, it probably helped that when I originally saw this, it was like surprisingly, considering it was probably December the 22nd or 23rd. I think it was only sort of like a 11 o'clock in the morning showing that they did for the families or whatever to put something in front of. They had sort of the usual ones, I think. I don't know what whether they had an Elf re-release at the time. I'm not sure. They had the sort of Christmas-esque films, but not directly Christmas. Like the usual December releases, and they might have had like Muppets Christmas Carol, but like Get Santa. I went because I thought, well, it's 11 or 12 in the morning. There ain't going to be many people here, and I was like second or third row, having to be crammed in, and nobody seemed to hate it, which I guess is a good thing because you always have that perils of like, do you have something where the kids are going to be bored, or do you have something where the adults are going to be bored? And none of them were, surprisingly. And to be fair, neither was I, because it just has enough of a charm to it to actually be something that's similar to the Christmas movies that but also be different. Like, I do feel that some elements of at least the prison part of this, I don't know whether Paul King borrowed it and Simon Farnaby for Paddington 2, but certainly some of the prison stuff does feel like it could have been loosely adapted
There
into what we saw in Paddington 2.
there's a surprising amount of movies where Santa ends up in jail.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Because there's the Santa Claus, there's Ernest Saves Christmas. I'm pretty sure in the Christmas Chronicles he ends up in jail at some point. I think they do like a whole musical sequence in the jail.
Sounds about
And yeah,
right.
like you were saying, also I was noticing some stuff where it was like I was thinking like, oh, this is a lot like this other movie, but the movie I was thinking of actually came after.
Yeah.
Like the idea of the adult and the kid being on the adventure while being chased by authority figures felt a lot like Hunt for the Wilder People. But Hunt for the Wilder People was 2 years later. So
I don't know. How did you feel about it, Owen?
It's weird. So my procrastination skills are still heavy, especially given the time of year. Watched it yesterday before Collision, and I finished it after it was over. I did like the last 25, 30 minutes afterwards. Um, Obviously AJ knows one big gripe I have immediately. But yeah, I think the fact that this was clearly a family friendly movie. Definitely, I could see it being a crowd pleaser. I could see putting this in front of somebody that is unaware what it is, and they probably would enjoy it. And for the most part, except for one big problem I had with it, I felt the same. I mean, it's not every day I get to see Jim Broadbent with his beard in dreadlocks come out to Straight Outta Compton.
Yeah, completely. When that happened, I was like, I wonder what my reaction to was like in the cinema when it happened. Because I was trying to work out. I was trying to work out whether I was going to have my hand over my eyes or my hand over my mouth or my hand on my head or something.
I mean, it's heartwarming. It is. It's told in a very good way, and it's got a good message to it. I mean, AJ hit the nail right on the head when he said that it reminds you of an American Christmas comedy. 100%. But, I mean, it's like an American Christmas comedy if all the cast were British. So, or British adjacent.
It is. Yeah. Something to point out that I didn't know was how stacked the cast is.
Yeah.
That was surprising.
I was looking
as I put in the description, there's even somebody here that 10 years later is absolutely massive, and this was his first film.
And I knew we were building to something. I saw Warwick Davis show up, and it was like, it's just gonna be like Bad Santa all over again. And that's exactly what happened.
Warwick Davis's first scene it almost feels verbatim the Peter Dinklage scene in Elf.
I agree completely.
Like, I was trying to think when he says, when Warwick Davis tells him he's going to slap the smirk off his face, I feel like that's an exact line Dinklage said to Will Ferrell.
Sounds like.
But yeah, Ray Spall was the dad, the up and coming Kit Connor as the son, Broadbent as Santa himself.
Again.
It's referenced in chat. We'll get to it in a few.
Well, I don't know why. I just saw something that I thought was so funny, which was basically the easiest way for me to get to Tubi is I just type the movie in Google, and it'll just take me to the link.
Nice.
So I just put, Get Santa, and then the drop down comes in, and I click on the movie. And for some reason, the first link that came up when I went to it was a user review from IMDb. And the first line of I don't know why this is so funny to me. The first line of the review was Jim Broadbent playing Santa for the second time. Lucky man. And I don't.
Why lucky
It's like,
man?
yeah, why not? It's not something that happens often, so sure.
Tim Allen's technically played him at least 5 times now. And only now we're finding out apparently he's a piece of crap.
I did get serious Santa Claus vibes from this one for sure, right away.
Yeah, having Santa in jail, having the father and son in the sleigh.
Yep.
Yeah. There's always the movie where Santa has to convince people that he's Santa. That's like every Santa movie ever.
Here's the Miracle on 34th Street nod.
Yeah, one of my favorite things, I'm sure anybody that's been watching for a long time is going to know this right off the top before I even finish my statement, but the way that the sleigh works, the really awesome roller coaster-esque element of going through a corkscrew basically before it launches into the Northern Lights, thought that was done well. And the slide, the tower slide, I love that. And for 2014, it didn't look bad. It didn't look hokey or anything. It actually, the visuals worked.
Some of the CGI in the post tunnel to Lapland look better than the CGI that we got in last week's Doctor Who anniversary episode, Why Blue Yonder. So that's Disney money, that is. This was done on I don't know what, because there was about 15 different production people and then Ridley Scott.
Yeah, talk about going into this with surprise. I think another thing that surprised me about the family friendliness was I wasn't expecting it to start with the Scot Free logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, that threw me off considerably.
It's like, am I about to watch a sci-fi movie with Denzel? What's happening here?
um. Yeah, it's just it's an interesting because it's sort of this seems to be a trend of mine. It's pretty much set only over like 2 or 3 days. Because I'm trying to think. It's a day or two before Christmas when Steve is let out of prison. And obviously everything runs up to Christmas Eve because all those... I don't know whether those Australians did get presents.
Yeah,
Whether they
he
now
got
actually feel
arrested.
left out.
He got arrested on the 23rd because that's what the security camera said when he tried to do the catapult thing. And I love that we only learn in retrospect that he's been arrested. We don't actually see him.
Yeah, it just the the flashes of the photo fit come after his failed attempt with this with the plank and just bonk. And that reindeer's just like, I'm not moving, son. I'm staying here.
I also do like how they address early that Santa's basically exhausted because he's been old for 1,000 years. It's something I feel like hasn't really been touched.
All the things that he's got.
You know, and I did like how they added some of their new things, like how his letters just go directly to wherever he is.
That's cool.
Because I don't know the last time I saw something as sad as when the letters can't get through his window. I was like, that's kind of heartbreaking.
Multiple times when they just go up to the window, you know, when he gets first put in the prison cell, and then when the rest of the prison realizes who he is when they go into like the mess hall or whatever where they're setting up the celebration party thing. I found it also weird that we have to have some sort of romantic link between the police officer and the parole officer. That was about. It was a nice little touch, and at certain times it was like, is this PG? It seems a bit too. This is verging on 12 hours. This is getting a bit too suggestive. Please. And then yeah, like so many things that get brought up, like with the Norwegian truck driver, who I don't even recognize, but he clearly was significant because they gave him a relatively significant cameo. Oh wait, he was the lead detective. Well, he was one of the lead people in the original Danish version of The Killing. Is that why he was picked up? The hell? That being said, the actress that plays the WPC that's with Bremner's PC Pinkerton, she's Icelandic, and she's the girl that's the lead in bloody Mortal Engines. I only realised that because I clicked on her name on Wikipedia. So in 4 years, she went from somebody that looked like she was in her 30s and Get Santa to like 18 or 19 in Mortal Engines. Okay.
Is that for real?
Yeah.
I remember a child being in Mortal Engines.
No, well, she shares the role with Poppy McLeod, but I think we see both of them. Yeah, the mask-wearing fugitive her that is the predominant her in the film? No, that's her.
I can't I can't tell if this is weird or if my memory of Mortal Engines is just that blurry, because
Yeah.
that's also possible. I think the only thing I remember about Mortal Engines is the minion joke. Everything else I think is gone in my head.
Yeah, just that's sort of surprising to me, but I think everybody did a solid job. I like the fact that we actually put, like, I guess, British folklore possibly into Santa, what with the Hermes Tower thing. I'm partly tempted to go to see if it's actually there or whether they just dressed it up like that. I'm guessing they did. Um, and I do
I
like the
do.
concept of the Northern Lights basically being the motorway for Santa to use.
I also like the touch of they've been able to cover up this secret by scientists putting out misinformation.
Yep. That was before misinformation was a popular thing, so this film started that. We can ruin it. But yeah, just like some of the surprising touches. The one bit I really liked was when Santa's like painting all the wooden presents, and the guy just pulls out a wooden gun, and Santa's like, "No, get over there, no, let them do it."
I don't know. It's really crazy to me that the Paddington 2 comparison never occurred to me until you mentioned it. Now it's like all I can think about.
Well, yeah, because it's just, it's sort of it's the old element of breaking into prison while other people are breaking out. So it's that sort of similar esque fashion. Um, but I do like the basically the I guess the semi redemption story for Steve, because he's always considered unreliable. But then when you think about it, the reason why he was in prison was because he was the getaway driver and nobody actually came from the thing, and so he got caught. So how was that his fault? He was there, nobody showed, you know, he just
Yeah,
wasn't
because
like Driver from Drive until when the time went, he didn't go right. I'm off. He stuck around.
I was kind of confused. I was kind of confused by the beginning when we met the parole officer, because it was like, because we have just met him and he's just been released and we have a vague idea of what happened, and they're really playing the parole officer up like she's villainous. And it was like, well, I mean, he committed a crime, he went to prison, yeah, he's going to have a parole officer. How's this person necessarily a villain right away? But then, yeah, the idea of, I don't know if you want to call it, trying to make him like that redemptive kind of character, or if it was always going to, I don't know. But with the thing about it is, the last time I saw Rafe Spall, he was playing like the biggest villain ever in the English. So to come
Yeah.
back to him playing a more tender character is like,
Well, this was, I can't say one of his first big leads because I think I Give It a Year was the year before.
that's what it was. I was trying to remember what was that romantic comedy he was in. That was it.
Yeah, that was sort of his only major lead. All the rest of it is supporting jobs, predominantly. Then again, he's pretty much been supporting a lot of the time. bar his some of his TV stuff in. I think he was the lead in War of the Worlds, the TV adaptation from a few years back, and certainly in the English, and then even on his comedy side, Pete versus Life, which is British. That's all I'll say. I don't want to say weird because that sounds offensive. It's just British.
Yeah. I also had the moment where they first sit with Santa in prison, which just when he walked out in the denim was really funny to me. That first reveal of that, and then seeing him sit across from Broadbent, my first thought was like, oh, look, it's the two cops from Hot Fuzz back together again. But then I thought, oh, wait, almost every British actor is in Hot Fuzz, so that's not really that special.
Well, fair for you at least. But yeah, it's also like how he's spurred on by, again, everybody doubting him. His ex-wife, his friends, his parole officer, pretty much anybody and everybody. He's eventually out to prove them wrong, even if it sort of does skirt the way. Like when Dasher knocks the hell out of that cop. It's like, screw you. This is destiny. This has to be done. But yeah, do you want to go through some of the comments in chat in case?
Yeah, I'll do that. Josie chimes in, hey, Popcast team, quite taken about how charming this movie was. Very creative, too. Brian says, so basically you take Broadbent's Santa, which is Santa the 20th, and Arthur Christmas, put him in a live-action movie.
To some extent, I would say, yeah.
Josie said Broadbent's Santa here was pretty badass. Again, straight out the comic.
I love the fact that it was just Santa being told, I want to cancel Christmas, that made him lose all inhibitions and like, I am punching you in the face. You were done.
It is the perfect piece of casting that Stephen Graham is the guy in charge of toughening up Santa.
Speaking of that, Josie says, I love Stephen Graham. Love. All caps. Was surprised given that I associate Broadbent with sophistication.
Wow. Somebody hasn't seen a lot of Jim Broadbent. I don't think he's very sophisticated in King of Thieves. Michael Caine's the more sophisticated one because it's his son that gets away with it.
Of course, Broadbent and Graham were previously together in Gangs of New York.
Oh, yeah.
The relationship between father and son reminded me of that in Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
I see that. Josie asks, which other Christmas movie family would you like to see Broadbent Santa visit? The Griswolds.
Yeah, that or the... I can't remember the family name from Christmas Story because it isn't a thing over here.
The Parkers.
Yeah. I feel that would be an interesting interaction.
What? You said... Maybe it's because I still have the Santa Claus on the brain, I don't know. But when you said the Griswolds, my first thought was, why do I get the feeling Clark would accidentally kill him?
I think Cousin Eddie.
But then it's like, oh wait, I forgot Scott Calvin is the dad that accidentally kills Santa. So it's still a thing regardless.
There's so much Santa Claus vibes in this movie, it's not even funny. Broadbent and Warwick Davis both appeared in Harry Potter. Of course, everyone knows that. Professor Flitwick and Grip Hook the Goblin. Broadbent played Professor Slughorn in the final 3 films. Both in Narnia. Broadbent was Professor Kirk in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and Davis was Nickabrick in Prince Caspian.
This is what I was saying about Hot Fuzz, was it's like, so many British actors have worked with each other so many times. This is almost inconsequential, especially when you bring Potter into it.
Well, Josie asked a question: who would win in a card game or a game of poker? Billy Bob in Bad Santa or Broadbent Santa?
Well, here's the thing. I would say Broadbent Santa has magic on his side. Not that he'd use it to cheat or anything, but he has magic on his side. And then, yeah, that was a question that was occurring to me. And since this is only my first viewing, I don't know if they covered it and it just kind of went past me. But what I was trying to figure out what extent of magic Broadbent Santa had that he could be in this situation to begin with. Because a lot of different movie Santas have had a lot of different kinds of magic that could have easily gotten them out of the situations that are here. So I'm assuming his Santa's a bit more limited.
His Santa's magic seems to basically be just to propel the sleigh.
That sort. Well, he also had. He was clearly doing something like speeding up time, being able to paint up the.
Yeah, he's super fast when he paints. Yeah, but
And
that's also
he
like
did all the like snowflakes sort of in no time at all.
hey, and good on him for being one of the only movie Santas that actually does work instead of making the elves do the work.
Which is another point that I want to credit as well. Everybody that probably was in the Elfland stuff was out of Warwick Davis's company that gets people like that jobs rather
nice.
than doing what they did with Wonka and put Hugh Grant's face or head on somebody in its place.
I'll be seeing that in a couple days.
I felt like I recognized a few of them. One of them was the guy that's in Joker, but I felt like I recognized a few of them. And I do have an answer to Josie's question about the card game. I think it's going to be Broadbent, not because of magic, but Willie couldn't even win a game of checkers against Thurman Merman, so he's probably not good at games.
No, it's literally clear that he is a loser in every way possible. So I have a feeling cards is not going to be his strong suit.
At the same time, though, considering he's Jolly Saint Nick and everything, how bad would Santa's poker face be?
As bad as his warfare.
Well, see, I was thinking that also because I don't think Willie would have a good poker face either, because I feel like if he got a bad hand, he wouldn't be able to hide his rage.
He'd start cursing. Slam his fist on the table. Guaranteed.
But what we're basically saying is this would be a very entertaining game to watch regardless.
I'd watch this. I 100% watch this. Broadbent is the son of Roy Broadbent, who was involved in converting a Methodist church into a theater that was later renamed the Broadbent Theater after his death in 1971. 2001, that's not even a word. 2001, Broadbent appeared in Moulin Rouge. My favorite performance of his ever, of course, with Nicole Kidman, Bridget Jones' Diary with Renee Zellweger, and Iris with Judi Dench, all three nominated for Best Actress. And Broadbent is one. Go ahead, Ashley.
Did he win supporting actor for Iris, or was he just nominated?
He won.
I believe he did win.
Good, he has an Oscar.
I was playing the movie. It was called the Movie Awards game for NTN Trivia, and I was the only person playing, and it was one of the most fun times I ever had at Damon's, just playing NTN Trivia. But it was all nothing but Oscar trivia. It was Oscar like past trivia, and also like betting on who was going to win and things like that. And by the time we got to when Best Picture got announced, they kicked us out. Fun game though. Broadbent is one of two actors to star in both a Potter and a Superman film. Richard Griffiths was the other one. When Steve and Tom are trying to save Santa, the sleigh's book directs them to Hermes Tower, as we mentioned. In Rudolph, in 1964, one elf, of course, is named Hermie. Of course, he wants to be a dentist.
Wait, is that why Prancer had lost 3 teeth? Uh-oh.
Justice for Prancer. Which other directors would you like to see Stephen Graham and Jen Broadbent work with?
I feel like even if he hadn't so early in his career and also so recently, the first name that would have come to mind for Stephen Graham was Scorsese. So that's pretty much perfection already existing.
Has Broadbent been in a Wes Anderson yet?
I was about ready to say Wes
Oh.
Anderson, but I had another direction I wanted to go.
That's so perfect. I think we'd remember if he had. So he
Yeah, I was
probably
gonna
has.
say. Then again, there's so many people that have like been in them. Like I forget that Bruce Willis was in one. Just because it's sort of like with it's sort of like with Tarantino. Like for some of them, it's one, and then they're never in another one again. When you feel like they should have been in like 3 or 4 more.
Actually, wanted to pivot to the Coen brothers myself.
That'd work with either of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make this happen now. So we've got a question that's going to take some work. Ashley, to the interwebs.
Uh-oh.
Which of the Golden Globes Best Lead Actor, Comedy or Musical nominee from the 2014-2015 season would you kick out for Jim Broadbent?
2014-15. So that would technically be the 72nd awards.
Well, I remember 2 of them would have been Fiennes and Keaton.
You said 72nd, Ashley?
Yeah, I've got it. No worry. So the other
I do too.
nominees alongside them two was Bill Murray for St. Vincent, Joaquin Phoenix for Inherent Vice, and Christoph Waltz for Big Eyes.
Man,
Obviously, Murray's out for me.
I hate to throw my birthday brethren under the bus, but yeah.
I'd kind
And
of
a lot of
I'd
people.
kind of get rid of Waltz because I don't see Big Eyes as a musical or comedy.
Yeah.
It's the old sort of like, should this be in that category? Shouldn't it be, just because it's got humor in it, even though it's a drama, does that make it enough to be a comedy? I don't think so.
I don't care. Christoph Waltz getting nominated for anything is justified.
There were a lot of people that hated that performance.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's mainly like I think the thing most people remember is the scene where he's throwing lit matches at her, which is like really over the top with the rest of the movie. But I think I remember actually. I think I actually liked his. I haven't seen it since the theater.
Same.
So, I mean, I can see my copy of it from here, but I haven't touched it yet. But I feel like I remember liking his performance. So I would say, and I don't think I disliked Murray and St. Vincent. I just disliked St. Vincent kind of as a whole.
Yeah, I agree.
So I don't imagine he was saving it. So from my memory, the only thing I remember from St. Vincent really is that shot of Naomi Watts bending over, and the fact that I didn't like the movie.
Fair. Spencer chimes in. Good old Saint Nick. I love Christmas stories. Yay. It's not the last one we've got for this year. I'm not going to say anything.
Well, I don't think this is a perfect movie or anything. It just feels like it's so rare to find a modern Christmas movie that's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's I for that alone, I love that this movie exists. So
You're talking about more of like a wholesome Christmas movie, not more of like an action horror type Christmas movie.
Yeah, because stuff like Violent Night is keeping us afloat.
Yeah.
But
there it is.
That's what.
I just feel that as it's coming up to its 10th anniversary next year, there needs a lot more showcase on this rather than just the same old stick Pixar on or stick DreamWorks on over Christmas. Over here, I think it's on like Sky Movies Christmas a couple of times. It's not on any of the main channels. Whereas I think it'd be kind of a perfect fit. It's like 90 to 100 minutes, so it's not outstaying its welcome. The plot pretty much progresses at a decent pace.
Yeah, it flows well.
Entire thing. It doesn't get the amount of bloody Lifetime style Christmas films that are on every day over here now because they think that that's what's entertaining to people. At 1 o'clock every weekday, where it's just cookie cutter. Whereas at this, okay, it takes a bit here and there from films, but it feels like it has heart rather than it's being done to fulfill a contract.
Josie says, "Hello, Spencer. I've got a lot of Christmas reads to bring up. I'll talk about them tomorrow." We'll talk about that in a few minutes, actually. Spencer says, "Christmas, Pacific Heights."
Yeah, and talking about the sincerity of it, that's another thing too, is just when you look at the director's filmography, and it's like, and the fact that he also wrote this, it's like, surely he obviously made this movie for a reason.
Yeah.
That it was such a departure from what he typically does. It's like, he obviously really wanted to tell this.
Yeah, there is not a lot of sincerity in Severance as a comedy. There is a lot of very not sincere stuff. Some of the other ones, it's more sort of horror, so I don't know whether you can consider the Eat people in that survive sincere or not.
Brian says, "Speaking of Scott-free productions, get ready for what 2000s movies I've seen in tomorrow's podcast, one of which we'll be watching after this podcast." Josie asked who would win in a fight, Broadbent Santa or David Harbour.
Yes, David.
Yeah, there's no, like...
It seems like he
argument.
has also more magical powers, so he wins.
Yeah. But Harbour's scene is much more magical.
Yes. I think Ashley just was he's second there if you guys were paying attention to the screen.
What?
I saw Ashley's like glitch like something fierce, and it looked like he was showing some magic as well.
Well, yeah, there is a bit still, but I don't know if that's the webcam or whatever.
Yeah, there's the fact that Harbour's character has a lot more magic, and the fact that it's basically implied his Santa was born to kill.
Accurate.
I think that kind of. But then again, Harbour's Santa also has a heart, so I could realistically see him being talked down by Broadbent.
I literally can imagine this being like one of those things everybody would expect, like a fight to the death that just ends in them toasting milk in the bar afterwards.
Yeah, Broadbent Santa could probably talk him out of fighting.
Million. As somebody that does this for a living on a regular basis, yeah, I 100% believe he could de-escalate the situation. I think that might be it.
So, this is the big thing that's been hovering over the podcast ever since it was said. Because obviously I know that not everybody is going to like it. I know that because the critics are only sort of like 60 or 70%. So, you brought it up, Owen. What was the thing that you really sort of do not like?
I am a Kevin Smith guy. I have always been a Kevin Smith guy. I always will be a Kevin Smith guy. But I don't like toilet humor.
All right.
Here's the thing about that. There is the word flatulating?
Yeah.
Dear?
By the way, it's literally used in the wiki.
Something else from the Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm. Secondly, like it there either.
Secondly, once that happened and it became a theme, I was literally counting the seconds until we got reindeer shit.
Yep.
Now, mind you, I give them credit for using, like, it was kind of like in War for the Planet of the Apes, when they use the apes throwing shit thing as an actual purpose.
Sure.
So, like I said, I was counting the seconds where it's like any minute now, a reindeer shit joke is coming. But the fact that they did give it a purpose in the climax gets them some points.
And an
I
explanation
suppose.
as to why it would be on them, because Santa basically uses it in case some of the roofs are a bit too slippy. Because it basically acts as blooming Phil Swift's Flex Seal or whatever. Saw a boat in half, cover it in reindeer droppings.
I am not defending one bit.
Well, but I mean, since we're defending that in that instance, obviously you could also defend the fact that he's a flatulating deer because that also has a purpose. So,
Could he
okay,
say?
do you think? Okay, I feel like you can acknowledge that it serves a purpose while also acknowledging you don't think it's funny.
It
I
is
think.
not funny at all, but I could totally imagine a packed full audience of kids laughing hysterically during it.
Yeah, and that's obviously what I was leaning towards at the beginning also when I said I was surprised by how, I mean, I meant that in many ways, that it's kid-friendly, but that's one of them.
Yeah.
Considering
That's my biggest red flag about the movie itself. If that was gone, this movie would probably be something that I would have zero problems in like watching again.
I have a really random movie to call out. I have a really random movie to throw hate at. I think I can't honestly remember if I liked that kind of humor when I was a kid, but I do remember when I started hating it.
Oh, okay.
I remember the movie I saw that turned me against that kind of humor probably forever. Because it was a movie that was already bad. And when the movie had already reached the bottom of the barrel, it resorted to that. And I was like, oh, I think that just turned this into one of the worst movies ever. And from then on, does anybody remember Over Her Dead Body with Paul Rudd and Eva Longoria?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
That I think I think that movie is what forever turned me off this style of humor.
It's like
Because I don't even think I would say I don't even think the famous scene in Blazing Saddles is funny, but then again, I'm one of the people that has the opinion of Blazing Saddles isn't that funny anyway. But once again, at some point that'll be a video in itself. We've hinted at that so many times. Eventually, that's going to be a video.
Yeah, I can certainly. I didn't mind it, but the problem is like the show that is usually the most watched show at Christmas here is Mrs. Brown Boys, which a fair bit of the humor is very much like that in it. So I guess we're morons. You can make a clip and save it. I'm officially admitting it.
So this is the thing, though. It's like, but maybe I'm the crazy one because I know what I don't like, but I'm not the target audience for this movie at all. I'm not the target audience for a lot of movies that I have issues with for stupidity like this. But it sells. And like AJ said, there is a point. I don't have to like it or respect it, but there's a point.
I think I know there's at least one or two that actually worked, like actually slipped past and ended up becoming really funny. And I'm trying to remember what they are. I know they exist. Kind of the first one that came to mind was, oh my God, what was it? I just had it in my head.
Well, I have an easy answer myself.
What's that?
Dumb and Dumber.
Mine was yes. Mine wasn't Dumb and Dumber, but you just reminded me of what it was because of Dumb and Dumber's context. Beavis and Butthead Do America when they meet their fathers, and Butthead's dad is Letterman.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want to see something? And then it causes like a nuclear explosion from the campfire. Yeah, how conflicting is that? Letterman involved in a joke like that.
I'm trying to think. There was something akin to that, where it was sort of.
What have I seen recently that's had a joke like that I didn't laugh at?
Oh, and I can't remember if you were here for this video or not. I think you were. So we would have had this discussion already. What's your opinion on Paul Rubens and Mystery Man?
I guess it's weird just with the performance. I'm not a fan of the concept, but it didn't bother me. I guess I'm just affected by some things more than others. I don't know exactly why. There was a joke in a movie recently that I didn't dig at all. That was kind of a throwaway reference and everything, and I didn't laugh at it either. And everybody else was like laughing hysterically. I don't remember which one it was. It was a 2023 movie, but I can't remember which one it was because I've been watching a lot of stuff this year. Something that was very out of place. I don't know if it was Dream Scenario, maybe.
The only one that comes to mind for me is the G Spotlight mission in Vice City, where you've got to get on the bike and go across the building tops to be able to get to the spotlight to advertise the adult movie that's being made at the studio. And there's a bit where Tommy and his bike pulls into this lift, and there's some woman and some man on each side with Tommy just in the middle on his bike, and it sort of cuts to sort of like CCTV shot of the lift, and you just hear somebody fart, but of course because they're NPCs, neither of them show emotion, so you don't know which one it was. And then like the bike reaches its floor, the bike reverses out, and the door shut, and then you continue on with the mission. That was just. That's the only one that comes to mind.
I have another one, and may I just say, I think it's hilarious how long this conversation has gone. This part of the conversation. I have to shout out the one in the first live action Scooby-Doo movie just for Matthew Lillard's physical commitment to that scene.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I believe Matthew Lillard's own response to that scene is, "I want everybody to know I'm a Shakespearean trained actor," and then he's also capable of it.
So
that's way to end the show.
Well, no, because we've got to do final thoughts. AJ, I'll start with you.
Like I was saying, I just need a Christmas movie to be decent, and I'll be happy. And this goes a little farther than that. It is a little distracting how many sort of familiar beats are in it, and there's one other sort of criticism that I had of it that's not like a big deal. It's like what's funny about this is my criticism is a lot of the music cues, but I am not criticizing Straight Outta Compton. I love that.
That scene was fantastic.
I'm Coming Out is about the most generic feel-good music you can put in any movie ever. And I also thought the use of White Christmas towards the end was really gratuitous. Like it starts so randomly.
Yeah. And don't
But,
know how I feel about the Saturday's cover version of Merry Christmas.
yeah.
Put the
I
original
like
one
Christmas
up.
wrapping.
Put the
It
original
needs to
one
be.
up.
But yeah, from apart from that, like people were saying charming, and it's like that's the right way to describe it. And like I said, the fact that it's such a departure from what this guy has made, it's clear that it's like I get the feeling this is a guy that loves Christmas, because who else would depart from a whole career of horror to make a movie like this?
And then go back to
Otherwise,
just doing predominantly all horror.
yeah. It's like I can't remember what I'm thinking of, but there was one case. I think it might have been something we talked about where, oh fuck, that's gonna bother me so much. Where a director made a movie in like a genre, and it was a good representation of that genre, but then he said that he made it because he hates that genre. And I can't remember who it is or what movie I'm thinking of. But yeah, I hope it's not a case like that. I hope Christopher Smith loves Christmas, and that's why he made this.
I also completely forgot, because you brought up Black Death, how Sean Bean is so front and center on the poster when it isn't even his film. Owen,
Sort of like Game of Thrones in its entirety.
Owen, your final thoughts?
Yeah. I turned this on and I was like, all right, let's see if I can get through this. Another movie club pick. Ashley's movie club picks have been very like hit or miss for me, and these are all pretty much all first time watches. Most of the stuff is, for sake of argument, like usually Chris and AJ throw stuff that I've seen before, but Ashley always usually throws something that I'm not expecting. I didn't know what to expect here. It's a very heartwarming movie. It is. I feel that here in the States, it'd probably be like critically loved, honestly. I don't think enough people know about it. I've never heard of the existence of this movie until like you've been bringing it up.
I'm
So
just hoping that because it's like on places like Tubi and like free with ads places over there, it needs to be seen more than it ever got really in terms of release over with you guys, if it came out at all, other than
this would
on streaming and all that.
this would definitely be a crowd pleaser for sure. And I can easily imagine watching this at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday with a full family oriented theater, and they're just hanging on every word. And this time of year, that's a really good movie to have in front of you. So yeah, solid. I enjoyed it, and a lot of familiar faces. That was cool too. It made me laugh out loud. It kind of tugged at the heartstrings. So yeah, I'm very fine with this pick, and I'm curious to see where we go next for episode 45, which I feel like we're still in the holiday spirit, if you will. But I will not say more than that.
Yeah. I also like with the ending how it just ends there. They don't try and do a, aftermath of what happened afterwards. They just leave it as Santa going off and everyone's happy, or in the case of maybe it was a sign, her getting covered in reindeer poop was to say that the Mortal Engines 4 years later was going to be bad. I don't know. But yeah, it's something that I feel like I might go back to, maybe not every year, but every couple of years, as something just to be entertaining in the background rather than the ones that are on every Christmas or the ones that always get recommended. Which is, of course, complicated at the minute because a lot of them are celebrating anniversaries, be it Die Hard, be it Elf. I think Polar Express is coming up to its 20th anniversary, isn't it?
Next year, yeah.
It's definitely getting a re-release.
There's also some other film that's got an anniversary, but I think we'll be getting to that sooner rather than later. But yeah.
And Gremlins has another coming next year too, I think.
I do appreciate over here how they're putting Ghostbusters 1 and 2 on like a afternoon tea time for Christmas, but then the Ghostbusters female version is just getting shoved at 10:30 at night. Not for kids. But yeah, as I say, because it's as freely available as it is in America, I'm surprised people haven't latched onto it more as sort of a cult thing. To get some traction. So
there was a while here where it was on Netflix, which is usually where stuff catches on.
yeah, but I just thought because it's there for free, you don't need you don't need money to be able to watch it. It would have been a way, more so for it to get popular than just being on Netflix. But I don't know, we'll see. I'll keep championing it. Mainly because it's one of the very few modern British Christmas films that's good. I don't know what's up with all those. What's that Amazon one that just came out this week? It's like a sequel. Your Christmas or Mine with Asa Butterfield.
Fuck.
Yeah. That was the thing. Like they were on like some talk show over here promoting it, and they were saying, "Oh, it's Your Christmas or Mine too," and I'm like, "What the hell was the first one? Like, why are you advertising two when I haven't heard of one? It doesn't help." Son of a bitch. So it's good to see a good British Christmas film, because I don't know whether considering how many other British people are in Santa Claus, I don't think that would count either, would it? The Dudley Moore one from the 80s. I think that was American. It just had Dudley Moore in.
Yes, I never really thought of it as British. Of course, I tried to block that movie out in general because
So, that's your lot for this time. But yeah, I hinted at it just now. We are going anniversary time. Because it be 30 years since a little film called Muppet Christmas Carol released. So, next week. Yeah, we're switching it up. It's not every 2 weeks. Well, it's basically because we don't want to work Christmas. I don't mind doing videos over Christmas. But yeah, Muppet Christmas Carol it is for next Sunday, the 17th. Which, is that the last... Will that be the last movie club of the year, or is there... I'm trying to remember. Are we doing...
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we are doing New Year's Eve for the Oscar predictions for December. And that is the last video, literally the last video of 2023.
Or in the case of when I start the stream, the first video of 2024. Depending how long it goes. Well, no, it'll go longer than an hour. Who am I kidding? It will eventually.
Spencer says, I am watching Trucks.
The King adaptation?
There is no specification other than literally, I am watching Trucks.
I'm trying to work out if that's one of those bloody knockoff films that, like, not Asylum, whatever that animation company did, to try and tie into bloody Cars and Planes. Those god-awful releases. Well, the Cars were okay. Planes, why does that exist? Other than for Dane Cook to get a paycheck. There was plenty of those. I can't remember what. I think there was one called. That's why I'm confused because I swear they did one called Trucks because they went, "What's the closest thing to cars?" I'll go with that. So yes, that's your lot for this time. We will be back tomorrow as well, but not for a Q&A, as it's only fair that we start catching up on where we need to catch up with, because dear Lord, this next week is going to be busy for award nominations. Well, already partly has been, because tomorrow we'll be discussing last week's Independent Spirit Awards and how I'm really confused how some Netflix films are apparently independent and some aren't. But we'll get to that tomorrow. And speaking of tomorrow, tomorrow's Golden Globe nominations.
Yep.
We'll be touching on them. We haven't even got time to this because I think the following day is Critics' Choice, even though we already have the TV ones, of which there's some weird stuff in that as well. And then I think by the end of the week, aren't we getting shortlist for the Oscars, I think, as well?
I don't have the schedule in front of me. It's literally on the phone that I'm currently filming on. So,
we'll have.
But I will say
for
that videos will be coming abruptly in the next couple of months to talk about the awards before we get there.
I just realized something.
Mm.
I had one more note about Get Santa I never mentioned.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead.
I thought Jodie Whittaker was wasted. I thought that was disappointing.
Yeah.
She just had to be frantically on the phone a couple of times. And I love her, so that was kind of disappointing.
I'm trying to think what she might have been doing at that time that meant she was busy. Wow, she's barely done any films. In retrospect, she's done way more TV work. I guess she was doing Broadchurch. That would have been the big thing around that time that she was busy with. She also did The Assets for ABC that came out in 2014, and The Smoke, which was a firefighter thing in the UK. So,
Okay, so
maybe that's why.
so
I don't know.
So there we go, Owen. We didn't end Get Santa on that note. We'll end it on this note.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
We ended with Jodie. So yeah, thank you to the usual people in chat, be it Josie, be it Spencer, be it Bry, and oh no, wait, that was it this time. So thanks for you for being there live. Thanks for you for being there on the archives as well if you don't manage to catch us live, and getting your fix that way from us. There's loads of other content here on the channel. AJ's movie reviews and verses. Owen's Sip and Snacks and Voices of Liberty content, which I'm expecting is getting festive probably over the next few weeks. More than likely.
I'd like to say that, but it's something that really sucks this year. The way that the schedule fell with all the movies, I'm not going to get to see Dickens this year.
Uh-oh.
So I will not have any Voices videos after this next batch from my birthday.
One could be cancelled. Wait.
Lots of Sip and Snacks, though,
including that way, that sounds wrong.
Lots of Sip and Snacks, though, including something that you literally had to win to get, and I won, so we're getting a video for it.
Oh, super special, limited edition, somewhat.
It's gonna be an interesting video to say the least.
I've got a lot of gaming stuff that I can now do because I have the I shouldn't say I have the power, because again that's just He-Man. And other snack stashes. One just went up for yesterday's video, or it went up a little bit later. I've got one that, as I said in the video, I'm trying to work out how much room I need to have here, because it's going to involve multiple 2-liter bottles of something. And then I've got to try and work out where I fit it all, so then when I rank them, I've got to have like, I'm going to look like that bit in the Tommy Cooper comedy bit where it's like bottle, glass, glass, bottle, bottle, glass. Dear Lord.
So like energy drink videos on the channel.
I might need one to be able to do that. Then again,
Got a
that'll take the taste
on
away
those
from
too.
what I'm drinking, so I don't know. And as you already know, there's V's every few weeks, including next week. And the Q&A sessions, which will be back next year, I think, yeah. And all the award stuff, which, again, as we said, will begin to kick into full gear next week. So find myself on Twitter at AshesMyNameUK. Owen can be found at Sir Owen Disney, Popcast Network as well. We'll have maybe some stuff on there, but mainly Owen's stuff. AJ cannot be found on the socials, and just like Keith Richards cannot be killed by conventional weapons or reindeer poop. If I now find out that Keith Richards died of reindeer poop, I'm going to feel so bad.
That would be hilarious. That would...
Considering the lifestyle
wow.
of Keith Richards, the problem is that doesn't sound like it's impossible. It's a very slim probability. So with that, thank you for watching and listening, everybody. Frame still dropped, but whatever. Until next time, everybody. That is all we've got to say about that.